Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Tia Salma Amanda, and today I will give the presentation about my paper research. It is on the future path of international trade in Indonesia. Let's take a look with my background. It is the economic diplomacy has now become one of the priorities of Indonesia. As a president, Indonesia, Jokowi wants access to foreign market to be expanded so that it can encourage the volume of Indonesia export, and it is hoped that the development of Indonesia export will ultimately help encourage the domestic economy, include the welfare of all Indonesian people. International trade is one of the important variables of economic growth in economy. So it is not surprising that all countries are working hard to promote trade cooperation with the aim of promoting economic growth. Alfonso 2001 explained that international trade is one of the important variables in economic growth in an economy. The same thing is also illustrated in a study conducted by Sun and Hesmati 2010 that shows that the openness of the economy in a country has a very significant impact on economic growth. And next, it is the purpose of paper. It is aims to analyze the future path of international trade in Indonesia. The literate review that I use is the definition of international trade. It is according to Huala Adolf and Setiawan and Lestari, but it is almost same in conclusion. International trade is a trade carried out between countries or government of countries with other countries undergoing a relationship in accordance with the agreement between the two parties conducting international trade. And then international trade is the movement of an economic globalization, and free trade creates good possibilities and barriers for trade activity in the Indonesia economy. The growth of international commerce in any country is intimately linked to global economic activities that are taking place and will continue to take place. Factor encouraging international trade is in natural resources wealth, difference in taste, climate difference, and higher profitability. A country forms international economic links. And the benefit of international trade are first, improving relationship between other countries. Second, the needs of every country can be fulfilled. Third is advancement of science and technology. And the last is expanding employment. And the next is in that graph, it is the value of international export and import condition in Indonesia. It is the value of Indonesian export is higher than its import, so the trade balance surplus was recorded at 5.73 billion in October 2021. The surplus increased from the previous month that are 4.37 billion US dollar. The figure is also higher than in October 2020, which amounted to 3.58 US dollar billion. And President Joko Widodo established large-scale social restriction or PSBB that are considered to result in economic and trade problems. This social or physical distancing has an influence on a decrease in overall economic activity. In terms of Indonesia's international trade, the destination country lockdown policy as well as export on the country or of import origin have an influence on the country's export activity. And my analysis for this paper it is the global economic recession that started from the health crisis due to COVID-19 pandemic is a crisis that has never happened before in the world, and almost all sectors of the economy are affected with varying degrees of severity. And currently, Indonesia is seen as a country with increasing economic strength, a dynamic democracy, and a position that also has important roles in various international forums. Both regional and global dynamics in terms of the constellation of international cooperation have a strong influence on the development and direction of economic cooperation and international trade policies implemented by the Indonesian government. One of the forms of global and regional dynamics in the strengthening of international community recognition of the role of developing countries in international economic diplomacy. Specifically, economic cooperation and international trade are directed to support President Joko Widodo's targets in the economic sector in order to improve the quality of life of the Indonesian people. During the last 5 years, Indonesia's export to the 14 Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership or LCEP countries show a positive trend, 7.35%, and in 7.35% in 2019. Meanwhile, from the import point of view, LCEP is the source of 65.79% of Indonesia's total imports from the world, which is worth 102 billion US dollars. The RCEP here is the largest trade cooperation in the world because it involves 15 countries, 10 ASEAN member countries plus Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, Japan, and China, covering 30% of the world economy, 30% of the world's population, and less than 2.2 billion potential customers. RCEP is also very important because it can encourage regional production networks and regional value chains and increase market access for Indonesian export products, also improve Indonesia competitiveness in region and FDI flows. Various studies on RCEP shows that Indonesia will give a benefit if it fully if it if Indonesia fully participates in the implementation of RCEP, increasing trade and investment activities through Indonesia involvement in RCEP will give a turn, boost national economic growth to the level required amid Indonesia's effort to escape the middle income trap. Indonesia can play a deeper role forming a region in the east of world that is more integrated in the development of a regional cooperation scheme with ASEAN with ASEAN centrality. Indonesia will benefit in the form of more sustainable and concrete cooperation where the development gap between countries is not too large. And then the RCEP will be one of the stepping stones if Indonesia make maximal use for it and to achieve economic integration, which is at a broader level with a regional cooperation. The countries that are members of the RCEP will be encouraged to continue to minimize economic restriction in the region. The clearer position of Indonesia in the framework of international relations is suspected to have a systemic impact on the stability of economic growth in countries in Asia and the world. The inclusion of Indonesia as a member of the RCEP also have the negative impact, namely first, China, which in this case will greatly benefit because it paved the way for China to implement the Belt Road Initiative or BRI. BRI in China's long-term plan to build trade and investment routes from the Asia Pacific to Europe. How China invests in potential partner countries to build infrastructure along China's trade routes from the Asia Pacific to mainland Europe. And second, the impact of the agreement on micro, small, and medium enterprises or UMKM in Indonesia. With the existence of RCEP, UMKM competitors are increasing, and this condition has the potential to reduce UMKM income, and it is feared that UMKM will not be able to compete with imported products whose prices are increasing due to effect of RCEP. Conclusion and recommendation for the government is the future international trade path in Indonesia have a positive future with Indonesia joining as a member of RCEP. The RCEP will be one of the stepping stone instruments to achieve economic integration, which is at a broad level. Indonesia joining SEP can give a benefit because first, it can increase exports through participation in global supply chain schemes. For example, car batteries made in Indonesia are used in a car assembly in other countries. The second is RCEP is an alternative to unit the economy in the Southeast Asian region. However, it will give a negative impact for Indonesia. First, in the dependence on China and can weakening of UMKM in Indonesia. To reduce the negative impact, it is recommended to first the state needs to ensure that the workers of multinational companies relocating their factories are completely dominated by Indonesian citizens and their rights and obligations are guaranteed by law. And second, Indonesia needs to strengthen the UMKM sector by providing workforce training and providing digital infrastructure assistance such as fast and affordable internet connection to compete with established companies. And the last is Indonesia should strengthen cooperative relations with China's trading partners such as Japan, Australia, South Korea, and the United States to avoid China's domination in the Southeast Asian region. And that's all for my presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.